Dark Crisis World Without a Justice League, Wonder Woman issue 1, Tini Howard and Brandon Peterson. I opted not to read this. Simply, to be perfectly honest, I didn't want to. Like, it's as simple as that. But
it's hard to justify these just because they heavily lean into the what if kind of factor.
What's sad about it is, even though the premise fits into what they've set up with Dark Crisis, and that they're all in their own little worlds, so they can do little stories. Even though it's set up, it still just kind of feels like, well, yeah, but are the worlds they're in that important? Does it really matter by the time they come back? Probably not. So for me, this was a case of, I've not really liked what I've read from Tini Howard, so I'm just not, I don't want to read it. That was basically my feeling.
Yeah, so this one I wanted to read the Martian Manhunter Dan Water story. But in order to get to that, I read the Wonder Woman story, and like it's not terrible, but it's like you said, for exploring the characters, it's good. So I did enjoy the Superman one for what it was, where it was Superman coming to terms with missing out on those years of John, and him wanting to be protective. The second one was the Green Lantern one, right? And that was him dealing with his mom and his niece, right? And that type of stuff. So this is Wonder Woman coming to terms with her place in the world, where she's the only superhero because there's no Justice League, so she's in the full armor. It's kind of the eagle stuff. And Etta Candy's become the president, and she's being sworn in, on a book from Themyscira. So Diana comes to congratulate her friend, and it looks like this is her second term. And she's, Diana's there to pick up the book and take it back to Themyscira. And she brings it back, and she has Etta with her, and the Hippolyta inducts Etta into being an honorary Amazon, because that the battle she fought wasn't with swords and shields, but with words and ideas, and that's how she was able to become president. And it's a real nice moment, and the rest of the Amazons are celebrating, and there's one called Minerva, and she's wearing cheetah print, and she's another one that's been inducted into the Amazons for time served for things that she's uncovered as an archaeologist. And she's just there to celebrate, and Diana's running with Jumpa, so we're getting a lot of this Wonder Woman type stuff. And
Jumpa the kangaroo, for anyone who's not familiar.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. Should have been more clear.
I feel like it doesn't come up that often, so just
So she's with the kangaroo, and she's looking for Hippolyta, and she sees her into this big tower, and she follows her in there, and there's an oracle with her, from the Oracle of Delphi. And there's also scientists from the outside world, and she looks over, and Diana gets confused because this looks like a missile silo, and it doesn't track with what Diana knows about the Amazons. And she gets upset because she feels that they've brought man's weapons into their world, and that's the ultimate betrayal. So she starts fighting the Amazons. Hippolyta's like, no, you're not listening. You're being too rash. And as Diana falls down into this missile silo, she starts seeing what she thinks is the truth. And it's an atomic bomb detonation, Dr. Psycho laughing, and she falls into this inky black stuff. And Hippolyta freaks out and yells at the other Amazons, you never let my daughter this close to the Well of Souls. While she's down there, a voice starts talking to her, and it's Dr. Psycho. And Diana's confused, and she wraps the lasso around his hand, and as he tells the truth, that the man's world found the Amazons, and they try to take them over, but the Amazons fought back, and that's why the status quo of the world exists, to where Etta can become the president, and they took Dr. Psycho and they put him in the Well of Souls because Gaia, who's the Mother Earth deity, demanded a sacrifice, and that sacrifice would be to chain up Dr. Psycho in the Well of Souls, and that was Diana that had done it, and Gaia had wiped Diana's mind, so she couldn't remember any of it, so then it couldn't be undone. And so it turns out that it's not a missile, it's a ship, because Themyscira is being destroyed because of now that Dr. Psycho is back unleashed because of Diana, in that Hippolyta tells him that she should have just let Dr. Psycho be in there because that was the sacrifice. But Diana, being ever the hero, is like, no, that's not how we do things. It's not how I was raised. So she ends up staying on the remnants of Themyscira while her sisters leave on the ship with Dr. Psycho to, because that is that's the justice that she wants, is, now they have to learn from each other. And like, it's fine. The art by Leila DeLuca is decent. Diana looks cool, and like the design for the armor, but it felt very, the parts of 84 I didn't really like when she's in the armor, and it kind of looks wonky, because to me, Diana's armor is herself. Like it's the bracelets, and it's her being able to de-escalate. So when you put a character like Wonder Woman in armor and make her more of that kind of warrior that swings the sword first, instead of just having the bracelets or the shield for defense, I don't know. That doesn't seem to me like an ideal version for Diana. But her saving Dr. Psycho and trying to have her sisters, but also being the sole representation of the Amazons in man's world, I feel is the crux of this. And like, it's fine. But it's definitely the least of the three so far, if we're not counting the backups. Because do you remember what the second backup was in the Green Lantern issue? Because one of them was Hot Girl, and I can't remember the other one.
I was going to say Hot Girl, but maybe if that was Superman, then
yeah.
Who else would it have been?
Because we have
Aquaman. It was Aquaman.
Oh, Aquaman was in Superman, so Hot Girl was in there, and that one. So far, this is kind of the least out of those. But yeah, the backup, and I'm gonna try to do this as well as I can, because I read this before bed, and because of this, the vibe that Dan Waters is going for with this Martian Manhunter story, I don't think I quite got all of it. But it's it's called What Does Paradise Look Like on Earth? And everything is in black, white, gray, and red. So the art in this, which is by Brandon Peterson, is the strong point. Like it's very stark, and so far we haven't had a story like this or art like this in one of these books. But the police call Martian Manhunter in to look at this crime scene where a guy's head, has been removed from his body, so he's been decapitated, and he's in a pool of blood, and then someone wrote that phrase, "What does paradise look like on Earth?" on the wall in it. And so they bring in John because he's, the Martian Manhunter, and that, they asked him if he's ever seen anything like this before, and he tells the cops, I arrived on Earth a long time ago before the superhuman attacks and environmental concerns. I've seen a lot. This is the first time I've seen something like this. Because nothing will ever be, nothing will ever shock me at what you humans do to each other. And then when it cuts to them, all the people have Cthulhu faces. And I'm just like, what is going on? And so that's the form John's taken to blend in, but all the humans have squid faces. And this is where it starts to come apart, really. Jean says, as ridiculous as the way humanity used to walk around on this planet looking, I mean, seriously, a single centralized brain, no adaptive camouflage. So, for whatever reason, in Martian Manhunter's ideal Earth, everyone's a squid person? I don't know.
He's
But
been. What it's not telling you, he's been playing Splatoon with his free time. So
sure.
now everyone's a squid now.
Yeah. So it's, a murder mystery here where they're trying to figure out why this has happened and him ruminating on humanity. And he even talks about how no one had like telepathy and everything is, everything was different. And it's been the pain and the suffering that, that drive this world. And it goes to his wife, and they're talking about the case, and nothing is sitting well with him. And this is where I got really, really lost because I was reading this late. John ends up coming and finding who did it, but it looks like Jean, the Martian Manhunter that we know. So it's got his form, and it's someone talking to him that says this isn't film, this isn't even real as a film. It doesn't matter. None of this is real. None of it matters one bit. It's all a false paradise. So I don't know if this is our heroes from the Dark Crisis trying to break through to him. But yeah, it's his form that had kicked all of this off. And it's almost like it's Jean trying to piece the mystery together of why he's on this earth and why nothing else. Like even in his subconscious knows that nothing's right. And it ends with him killing the Justice League version of himself, for him to wonder what exactly is paradise, and if this is paradise, welcome to it. I guess what I got out of this the most was Jean's ultimate place is somewhere where everyone's like him, but he's still, an alien, right? Because he's not exactly like them. They've become closer to him. But yeah, it was a very weird, moody kind of story that I probably should have revisited before talking about on the show. But I was also kind of counting on someone else to have read it. So rather that have been you or Connor.
Oh, it's my fault now.
No, it's not your fault, because sometimes a story like this is better when you have stuff to bounce off of people.
Okay.
Right? But yeah, it definitely is one of the stronger of the stories, just in the way that it looks, in the way that it feels, and the fact that the ultimate perpetrator is who we recognize as John Jones. But yeah, so the art alone in this one puts it over the Wonder Woman story for me. So just as a whole, I would give this whole one like a 7. Because it's not bad, but it's definitely, definitely just more of what we've come to expect from these Dark Crisis specials.
Yeah, which is exactly why I didn't want to read it.
And that's fine. I would definitely say if you can get around to it, that like if they ever collect these and you can get the collection for cheap, this Martian Manhunter story is pretty decent for what it is.